And we are live. Welcome to a special episode of the Managing Madrid podcast, which will be outdated very, very shortly. That's why it's going to be brief. And it's really for the people who are just killing time before the game and want our last minute analysis. I am live at Red Bull Arena. It's quite interesting, and I can do nothing about the noise in the stadium filling up as we get closer to kickoff. Any extra noise, I apologize. I'll try to keep my microphone muted while I'm not talking. Lucas
We
is
hear no
here,
nose,
and
Kiyan. You might as well be at the hotel, man. Don't lie to us.
no, it's a very real. It's at the stadium. I'm not still at home in Canada pretending to be in Leipzig. I promise. Um, Lucas is here. Jose is here. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing fine, Kiyan. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to the game, obviously.
Doing well here, and looking forward to the game. Yes.
Okay, we got starting lineup out. Um, Lucas, pretty status quo. It's what we expected, right? When we were talking last night.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday, pretty much that this was going always to be a fairly predictable lineup from Ancelotti. We obviously still had the questions about Lunin or Kepa, maybe Carvajal instead of Nacho, and maybe potentially Joselu instead of Brian. But at the end of the day, Ancelotti kept it simple and went with what we all thought was going to be his go-to lineup for tonight. Makes sense. If something is working, don't try to overdo it and overthink it, and just go with the safest bet, which is what Ancelotti deployed on the field today.
100% agree on that. Like, I think it's like you could think whether you'd want to have Carvajal again as the center back, but in the end, the thing about moving Carvajal to that position, if you move into center back, you lose him at right back, where I think the team will need a bit more help defensively this time, given the threats that they're going to be dealing with. So it kind of makes sense, especially from a defensive aspect, that you're going to want to have Carvajal back on the right wing.
I think that was the key thing to me too, and that's why the starting 11 was pretty clear to me as well. In that, like people would debate, is should it be Carvajal or Chouameni? Like to me, you're really deciding between two unideal center backs who did really well against Girona, in part because they weren't tested as much, but they did individually perform well anyway with the tests they were dealt with. But it comes down to me that you don't want to bench one of Chouameni and Camavinga in this game. And I think if you started Carvajal at center back, you would have put Vasquez at right back, and Chouameni would have gone to midfield and Camavinga possibly off the bench. I like the defensive security of having both Chouameni and Camavinga on the team. And I also think you obviously want to factor in height. Lucas and I were speaking about this yesterday that without Bellingham, you do actually lose some height defending set pieces with Brahim in there instead. But, again, we're talking about slim pickings, and there wasn't that many options to choose from regardless. But I think it came down to that. Mendy obviously gets the starting left back spot. Jose, when you're looking at, I actually have, that's funny enough, of all the things I should have done, I should have probably at some point looked at the Leipzig starting lineup, which I actually was handed a paper and I chose not to look at it when I walked in the stadium. What were your thoughts on Leipzig starting lineup? Did you get a chance to see it?
Yes, and I'm a bit curious as to what will exactly look like, because this looks like a back three to me, and it is a bit different from what Leipzig normally does, because they normally go for more of a back four. But like the thing is that I'm seeing like Orban, Simakan, and Klosterman plus the two normally fullbacks, which are Henriks and David Raum. So like I'm seeing five defenders there. So I'm assuming this will be a back five. It's gonna be a bit different, because normally they have like two double pivot midfielders, but this time I assume they're gonna play kind of Schlager kind of in the pivot, and then you're gonna have like Dani Olmo and Xavi Simons almost as eights. I mean, they're already kind of eights when they play in that 4-2-2-2, but like this time they're gonna really look a bit more like eights, and then you're gonna have like the two forwards with Sesco and Openda. So it's looking a bit like a 5-3-2 to me, which is a bit surprising because it's more defensive than what I was expecting.
Yeah, nice to have this feedback from Jose, because obviously we are no experts when it comes to Leipzig here. So great to see, and at least know that maybe they are going to play with five at the back, which could ultimately kind of hurt Real Madrid, because we all expected maybe Madrid to have some counter-attacking chances if Leipzig were going to kind of play and rely a little bit more on their usual offensive style, which we all thought was going to be the
Yeah.
case. But if they end up trusting their defense a little bit more, then maybe Real Madrid will need a couple of lucky breaks here and there in order to take advantage of and capitalize on the opportunities they get. Because at the end of the day, we all thought Joselu was going to be on the bench, but maybe because we expected a little bit more of a counter-attacking game from Madrid and not the other way around. If this is the case and Real
Yeah.
Madrid cannot break through and find a goal in the first 60 or 70 minutes, I would expect possibly Joselu to maybe come off the bench, and maybe Real Madrid will start throwing some crosses his way in order to see if they can finally break through and find the goal they quite possibly need in order to enjoy a more manageable game in the return leg.
We'll see. I mean, I think it's. I don't know if you guys saw, but one of the Leipzig players, Elmas, had an interview in Marca today, and he was talking about how, because obviously he, very unique situation in that he played for Napoli and then switched midway through the season to Leipzig in the winter transfer market. And I don't know.
Go
Can you guys
ahead.
hear that?
Yeah,
Can
go
I?
Yeah,
ahead.
we do.
Your voice comes fine though, so yeah, just go
It
ahead.
comes fine. It adds to the vibe.
Yeah.
So you're getting a taste of the chaos of press row because people are like needed. Like I have to let people walk by because they have to get to their seats, so I can't like. Um, but yeah, as you said, maybe it adds to the atmosphere. I got to talk really loud, I guess. But so
It's all
Almas,
fine.
okay, it's fine. Almas was saying that's the greatness of the Yeti mic. Great advertisement for them. It's only picking up mine. Almas said before the game that the difference between Leipzig and Napoli is that Leipzig will not give them 5 minutes of peace. We're going to press and press and press. And it was interesting that he revealed that. I imagine if you stay compact and play the same way you did against Girona, because Leipzig play like Girona in some sense, you can get the best of both worlds. Super chat here from Senad Hodzik. He says, "Happy patron here. Keep up these daily videos. Makes my day better. Tough game tonight. First 20 minutes are crucial. Definitely. I remember watching the Leipzig Leverkusen game a few games ago, and they started off pretty hot and heavy against Leverkusen. Ultimately, they fell, and Leverkusen came back. Uh, and if you weather the storm, Leipzig will go into more of a mid-deep block as the game wears on." Uh, Another one from Hamid. Oh, sorry, Omid Rezai. Number 15, here we go. Love this live show thing. Perfect. Thank you so much, Omid. Glad you joined. And one more from Nikolai Mihatovic. Get through. 1 second. Just a nice super chat. No comment.
Yeah, in line of what you just said, Kiyan, about Leipzig possibly trying to start the game with high intensity and yeah, trying to go after Real Madrid's throat. I would expect the same. German teams are always very intense, very physical. The German atmosphere is always a very tough one to play against, at least historically for Madrid. So they will definitely try to kind of make a statement during the first 15, 20 minutes of the game and trying to show Madrid that they are at least going to fight for the ticket for the next round, right? So Real Madrid, I'm pretty sure Real Madrid will have to kind of play with composure and kind of weather the storm, as you mentioned, during those first minutes. Obviously, it's very hard for any team really to maintain and sustain that kind of intensity throughout the course of an entire game. So I definitely would expect Leipzig to maybe drop that intensity. But this is something Real Madrid have to be prepared for. Leipzig are not going to start the game with any kind of fear or any kind of calmness, if you will. I'm pretty sure they will start the fire and kicking the tires.
Yeah, and I'm curious as like something that I've been thinking is that if Elmas's message was like they're gonna go out to press, I do wonder how they're gonna do it from a 5-3-2 shape, because usually when you have like a 5-3-2, it's a bit more difficult to commit enough men to press. Like, for example, ever since Atletico switched to like a 5-3-2, they don't press as much as they did before because they can just commit fewer players to the press. So I'll be interesting to see what do they do in order to adjust for that, because probably what they'll do is that they're going to send the wing backs forward to
Yeah.
press, and if they're too aggressive about that, then you end up with a situation of, say, Real Madrid's front three against their back three, and then it just takes like a long ball to put Real Madrid in a 3 versus 3 situation. So those will be interesting trade-offs to see if they decide to press or not. And I think it's very important what Lucas said about playing with composure here. If the team can play with the same composure that they did against Girona, just like they played through that press, like if the team knows when to pause, when to speed up the game, when to send the long balls, like usually like a 5-3-2 shape, for example, tends to be rather narrow. Leipzig in general presses in a rather narrow shape. So what can you do to attack that? Like long diagonal balls, and this team has like the world's greatest specialist in sending these. So, and it could be another game where Kroos can have a massive influence on the outcome.
Yeah, just to
Lucas,
add, just to add one more note about that, Kiyan. I think that this will be a very good test and a very maybe very tough is a little bit strong, but a tough challenge for Camavinga those first 15, 20 minutes. Just a real test in terms of his maturity and his growth as a player, his experience, his composure as a pivot. I trust him with my life pretty much. That's how much I love Camavinga as a player. But, he's still very young, and this is the Champions League biggest stage. He's done it in Anfield, so I'm pretty sure that he's just fine. But again, he'll have to prove his worth as a defensive midfielder today if Leipzig come out with this intensity.
They're turning the music louder and louder. Is it still okay?
It's all fine.
It's actually okay.
All fine, brother.
So Sanad Hodzic also says, for your information, Madrid has a huge following in the Balkans. So yeah, just please don't stop making these videos. Hey man, we're here for the Balkans. Thank you, Sanad. Just going back to Camavinga for a second. His Champions League track record is pretty incredible. The couple times where I think he struggled was City last season at the Etihad, which the whole team struggled, newsflash. And the other one I can think of was Chelsea at Stamford Bridge last year for a brief period where Lampard was doing that weird false nine thing with Kante, and they were pressing us. And Ancelotti said after the game that the reason why it was hard for him... I'm still gonna keep talking as these people buy me. So the reason why he struggled at the start was because they had Valverde and Modric on the left, Valverde on the right. Then they switched Valverde and Modric and put Valverde on Camavinga's side to help defensively, and it got better. And I think sometimes these things come down to what is the surrounding pieces. Tonight, Camavinga is playing, in my opinion, in his ideal position. He's playing the 8. No, I guess no, he's not. For some reason, my brain thought, Tchouameni's on the field.
We don't know, though. We don't know.
He's
been kind of interchangeable with Kroos there since Kroos has been playing more as a defensive midfielder. So we don't know. We don't know if he'll be the 8 or the 6 in this case. It remains to be seen, I guess.
Switch. It's usually he goes 6 on defense, and then in the build-up phase they switch with Cruz.
Exactly.
Anthony Tharp says, in Cobra Camo, we trust. Yes, we do. Absolutely. The greatest Cobra slide tackler in the history of football. I'm glad he's on our team. Jose, got anything else from a scouting perspective on Leipzig? I know you already said quite a bit on how you think they line up and how they might test us, but...
Yeah, I think it's mostly that. I'm kind of, honestly, like, it's funny that I didn't do that much scouting before this, because honestly, after seeing the lineup, it would have gone out the window, because I thought that they were going to play kind of a different way. This feels, we'll see. Maybe, like my feeling is that this 5-3-2 feels like a bit more conservative than what I was expecting, especially after the discourse about going to press. But maybe there's some crazy adjustment that they're doing in order to press more aggressive. I don't know. But so that's the main thing that surprises me, because I also thought that Leipzig was going to set up in such a way that, say, you would have like Olmo and Xavi Simons like a bit more wide open going up against Real Madrid's fullbacks. With this setup, I feel like they're going to be a bit more central, which I do find. mm, I don't know. Like, I'm actually thinking, where do these two guys can do more damage? And honestly, doing damage right now against Carvajal and Mendy, given at the level that they're playing defensively, could be difficult. So it could be interesting to see if they just try to stay a bit more inside and try to find gaps in there, say, like try to live in the gaps between Real Madrid's midfield and defense. For
Especially
example,
with Nacho and Chouameni, yeah, especially with
yeah,
those
yeah.
two.
So that's kind of the danger, right? That you have like, okay, now this kind of triangle of like Camavinga, who's maybe not as good as Trameni at tracking these at tracking and sweeping these things, and then you have Nacho and Trameni in there. Like, it's a bit more threatening to have someone say operate in that space. So I think that's a lot of what Olmo and Xavi Simons will be trying to do in order to attack Real Madrid. So I was thinking they were going to be more out wide, but given this lineup, it seems like they're going to try to be a bit more inside and try to do more damage between the lines.
Seems
Great
the
news.
right
I think
approach from Leipzig, if I'm being honest, really. Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead, Kiyan. Sorry for cutting you.
Well, just great news. I think every journalist has now taken their seat. So I think this is. I think I can sit down from now on.
You haven't talked about the buffet just yet, man.
Sure. You want me to right now? So I'll guess a couple things. So this is the first time at Leipzig. If anyone wants to go to the Leipzig stadium in the future, Jose, have you been? You're well traveled in Europe. No, okay. So
Not yet.
Come early, because if you go to the wrong side of the stadium, it's going to take you a year to get to the other side, because there's like a moat around the stadium, and then if you have to go to the other side, you have to like cross the street, basically exit the stadium grounds, go all the way. Oh, it's a whole thing. So if go early, if you're going to go to a game in Leipzig, the media entrance, I was about to go in, then I noticed there's a massive lineup for the media, which I've never seen before. Lucas, like, I don't think you've ever seen that before, right? You just walk in. There was a huge lineup
much.
like around the corner.
Well, when you get there like when you get there like 2 hours when they open the gates, it's pretty crowded. Yeah, if you go a little bit later, an hour later or so, you walk in pretty much. Yeah, but if you go like right when they open,
yeah. The players just came out of the tunnel. I don't know if it would work if I turned my laptop around and showed you. Well, that's the Leipzig players. So when Real Madrid players come out, maybe I'll turn my laptop around so people can see the warm up if they're interested. So that's what happened. So I got to the stadium, I guess, early enough, and it just so happened that in lineup, I got the person next to me was Jonathan Liu, and it was great to chat with him because I had done a podcast with him before, and I've never actually met him in person. So we chatted quite a bit. That was nice. The buffet itself, Lucas, man, it was unedible. Like, it was the best thing was like steamed carrots, which was like, you can't go really wrong with steamed carrots. But there was like some weird stuff, and I just paid no attention to it.
You just cannot trust them Germans, man.
Yeah,
you just can't.
I got coffee.
At least not regarding food. Not regarding.
No,
food,
no. I'm just talking about food for sure. I'm just talking about food. They're definitely not known for their food. Yeah, we can trust Cruz, but I wouldn't like be so happy about him cooking a meal or something like that in a barbecue or something. Like, I don't know.
10 years in Spain, he must have learned something.
True. He probably knows how to make paella right now, but yeah.
Well, even some Spanish people don't know how to make paella.
Right.
You do, Lucas. You do.
I do, obviously. Yeah, I have to.
Yeah. So buffet, I got coffee, and then the coffee was like finished in like 30 seconds, and they did not replenish it. So now I'm switched to tea, which is probably for the best, because drinking coffee at this time of night is not ideal anyway. Catch up on some super chats. Anthony, we got that one.
Yeah.
Here, ER Force One, just a donation. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And we got Armando L. Same thing, just a donate. Armando, I recognize your name for Patreon, so thanks for being a member, my friend. Appreciate you. I was going to say, I think we were talking about Leipzig. Oh yeah, it's huge for us to have Carvajal and Mendy in the form they are in now because
Yep.
Ancelotti even name dropped him in the press conference yesterday. Olmo, the unpredictability
Mm.
of Olmo is something that can be a thorn. He's going to be roaming on both wings, I think, and spending more time on the left, if I had to guess, and in that left half space where Chouameni Carvajal will be. So that's going to be an important thing. I also, while I mentioned several times that Leipzig play like Girona in some way, I think it should be noted, with all due respect to Girona and the season they're having, that I'm laughing about something I'll tell you later. That something happened just now, but uh, the talent level that Leipzig have is just higher.
No
And
I
question.
would I would
yeah,
say so. Yeah. And
uh,
like for example, the forwards are a different kind of threat from what Girona has. Especially because they're like Girona is still a bit more positional, as in Savinho is always in the left side, Dovic is always in the center. This front four from Leipzig, all of these guys are insanely mobile, and that's kind of what makes them difficult to defend. Because yes, like Sesko and Openda are can have impact in the box, but these guys are also very mobile. They're dangerous on the counter. They're comfortable going out to the wings to do other things or attacking you out of the wings. The same thing you can say about Olmo and Xavi Simmons. Like they can attack you through the center, they can go out on the wings too. And that's the thing. Like the whole front four is very mobile and will be very annoying to deal with because of that. Because you might not know what side they're gonna come out on, or they might switch positions throughout the game, etc.
yeah, no doubt. And I mean, Girona, and most teams you face in La Liga probably don't have the transition threat of Xavi Simons, who is just, I mean, even if you don't give him space, he's a brilliant player, but you give him space in transition. And that's why I think, and given the fact that this is a 2 leg marathon and you don't have your full team healthy, I would guess, I'm not entirely sure, but I would guess that there will be some more conservatism and reliance on the counterattack today. Uh, the other thing I wanted to mention was Leipzig are a team that make mistakes from what I've seen. In the build-up phase, they can be sometimes one heavy touch, you can pounce on them and dispossess them high up the field. So I would hope that we continue our solid counter press as we've had all season. Uh, Prexina says, hope you guys love this as much as we do. Thank you, Prexina. I don't know what you're referring to, but just this, I guess, the vibe, the podcast, the live chat, the super chats, the fact that there's chaos in and around me. I guess I love it. I love it. If you guys love it, I love it too. Um, this works, right? Like I think we could do this other other stadiums. I think it works.
As long as the internet
Yeah.
connection is fine, this is perfectly fine from your end in terms of the connection
Yeah.
and also, yeah.
Yeah, and I think from a copyright perspective, it's not a problem either.
Oh no,
because,
no,
like,
it's
you
not a
don't-
problem
don't
unless you show the field or anything.
you don't
yeah,
show
exactly.
anything about the field or like.
Yeah, no, no, it's perfectly
Unless the YouTube, the music like that's playing
No,
gets
no,
picked
no.
up.
It doesn't
But
pick
you
it
know
up
what? Who
enough so
cares?
the algorithm
This
I'd
notices.
be surprised.
I mean, I
It's
I
live
cannot even
anyway.
tell what music is playing
That's the
behind
thing. Like,
this.
if you didn't tell us you are in the stadium, we wouldn't know.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You
that's-
could be at a bar.
So I
and,
think.
yeah.
So I think I would hope it's fine.
No,
from a
it's
copyright
perfectly fine. I'm
perspective.
sure. Yeah.
Even if it wasn't, who cares? It's live. We got our message across anyway. Even if YouTube takes the video down, our
Yeah.
job is done. It got published. Samer Zarur says Leipzig def is so bad we can score 3-4 goals. You said it, not us. We didn't
It could
say
be a
anything.
high. It could be a high scoring game though. Like now that they've reinforced a bit the back, maybe not, maybe it's gonna be. I have a feeling it's gonna be a slower game than what I originally thought. Because normally I was expecting something like a 3-2 kind of thing, like a very fast paced game. I do think this 5-3-2 shows that Leipzig wants to slow things down a bit.
It's so weird to think about, like when they took the away goals rule away. A high scoring game really doesn't mean anything. Like a 5-5 mean it's 0-0, and it's just away goals don't matter. So it just cancels each other out regardless when you go back. That's kind of the good and bad of taking the away goals rule. It's less dramatic in that sense.
Yep.
the Real Madrid players are warming up. Is there interest to see it for a second or no? Do you think I could do it?
Just
I'll do
show
it
it
really
for a
quick.
little while so that members
I,
see it, maybe. But yeah,
yeah, just so like, well, Lucas was skeptical, like if I'm here or not. Lucas, this is proof, evidence, irrefutable visual evidence that it's not a scam. Managing Madrid is here. This is not like the moon landing.
come
Although
on
I
now,
believe
play
in
the
the moon landing,
background
to be clear.
video to fool everyone. Nice. Oh, that's a good seat also
like
as well. Press area looks fine.
You like my green
Yeah.
screen? Yeah. So this is the unique thing. You see this giant screen on my table?
Nice, nice.
That, that is unprecedented from what I
Yeah,
have seen. Now
you'll
we
have
have replays right
replays.
in front of us. That's a
Exactly.
big thing.
Yeah.
So I actually will know enough. Like I'll know as much as the viewer at home. Usually, you guys are more informed than I am. Or Lucas, you know what that's like, right? Luke,
Hmm.
Jose, you go to a ton of games. You often
Yeah.
don't know as much as watching at home because there's no replays. There's no commentator
Yeah.
explaining to you what's happening. Yeah.
And
So
press boxes tend to be quite minimalist. That's what I like about like the newer stadiums where all the facilities are so cutting edge and you got like these nicer press rooms and it's like it's just nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, did we lose Kian? Uh
Hopefully we're still live. I think we are.
let's,
Well, here
let's
he'll
see.
he'll.
We are still
he'll-
yeah, we're still live. Let's see if he can
I think we're
I
still
presume
live.
he'll-
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll come he'll
So yeah, I
come
agree
back
with
eventually.
you, Jose. I think the bad thing about Real Madrid's new Bernabeu, if you will, is that the press area kind of was moved to a different area. It's like too high right now, so hopefully. I mean, I would like for the press area to be moved down a little bit so that we have better seats in terms of the view of the game. It's pretty hard to notice now when you know when who is who really on the field in terms of unless you
Yeah.
can clearly get a good result of their positioning. So that's the bad thing about Real Madrid's news decision anyway.
It's kind of far away, yeah. Then going into this game, the other thing that I was thinking about that will be important is that if we put Brahim instead of Bellingham, I worry a bit about defense. I worry what kind of game will, because in the end, one of the nice things about Jude is like all the defensive work that he does. So it's gonna be a game where we're gonna need like some good output from Brahim also on the defensive side to replace what's being lost without Bellingham on the field.
Here he is. He
He's
turned
back.
on his green screen to let everyone know about being in the stadium, and all of a sudden he lost power and lost the electricity that was charging his
cut off.
laptop. Yeah. He doesn't seem to be hearing us just yet, though. Anyway, so yeah, that's the bad thing about the new Bernabeu, unluckily. But yeah. All the rest of the press area are great. Kiyan, are you there now? Doesn't seem that way. Senat Hot 6 said on chat, how are the facilities at the Bernabeu in terms of commotion? They are definitely improved since the Bernabeu has been doing the renovations and all. But that's the bad thing about the new press area is that it's very high on the stands right now, and it's not easy to tell what's going on. Well, what's going on the field, yes, but with precise detail. Any details about the plays or about the players, even maybe some questionable calls get lost there in the mix because of the seats are too high. So yeah. Kiyan, we can see him. I'm not sure. Now.
can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I can't hear you for some reason. I don't know what happened. So my laptop died, and I'm amazed that the stream kept going. That was great news. So I was worried that the stream would end. So you guys kept it going. That was great. But now that I'm back, I can't hear you for some reason. Like I can hear you, but the volume is very low, even though it's jacked up to max on my computer. So I don't know what's going on there. The good news, guys, is that we have to wrap it up anyway. I have to get myself ready for the game, and I'm going to get some content before the game starts, and I want to make sure I'm there for when the lineups the players come out of the tunnel and do the Champions League anthem thing. If you guys can hear me, I'll just do a couple more super chats. Very quickly, Ramkey V, thank you so much for the donation. Also, Zafri, you as well. Thank you very much for that. Um, yeah, good luck, guys. We'll be back after the game. Right now, we have it scheduled for midnight CET, which is 6 p.m. EST. And Sid and I are going to do the post game show. I'm going to basically do the Carlo Ancelotti press conference and then head out. I'm not going to stay for Marco Rose's press conference. And then I'm going to find a quiet place to record with Sid from the stadium as well. That'll be live. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Lucas. I don't know why I can't hear you anymore, but I guess we're done anyway. Thanks to all the listeners as well. You guys rock. Thank you. All right. Take
Thank
care,
you,
guys.
everyone.
Peace out.
Have fun.
Thanks, guys. Peace out.